everybody. Today we have Ntare Guma Mbaho Mwine, and he's an actor, photographer, director, and activist who the Los Angeles Times named as one of the biggest breakout stars of Sundance 2020 for his lead role in film Farewell Amor. He's been praised for his roles in Blood Diamond, Queen of Catway, and of course, as Ronnie in The Shy. I love The Shy, to name a few. Now you can watch him in his new film, Tasmanian Devil, directed by Solomon Onita Jr. and executive produced by Birdman and Benny Boom. And this new film tells the story of Nigerian immigrant Dayo, who struggles to balance his desire to join a college fraternity and bonding with his religious father, played by Ntare. So thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me, for the kind
Yeah, of course. So first, I just want to ask, how are you as far as just working as in the pandemic as an actor? I can only imagine it's been hectic. So how has the management been for you?
No, we've all been struggling to adjust to this new normal, and things
Yeah.
have been ended as well, and projects have been put on hold. But it looks like things are looking hopeful that production will start ramping up again. There was a show I was supposed to start shooting last March that's now looking to shoot this March. I'm supposed to shoot this next weekend. So yeah, things are starting to look up.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So tell me, how did you decide to choose this role? Did the story of Dayo kind of navigating his Nigerian and newfound American culture speak to you? Because I know that you're a Ugandan American. So how did you choose that role?
It was such a great role, such a strong character with the clearly delineated, with a clear conflict with his son. And for me, it was the relationship, the father-son relationship, that really spoke to me in terms of, I'm a parent as well. And one of the biggest challenges you have as a parent is when your child, flexes their own muscles and wants to go on their own, fly with their own wings.
Right.
There's like what they call the helicopter mom, which there's the same thing as the dad, where you have too much of a hold on the kid, and they don't really get to, they end up rebelling to sort of find themselves. So for me, that story was really unique, and I hadn't had an opportunity to play a role like that. So I just jumped at the chance.
Right. Yeah. So that kind of leads me to my next question. Was it challenging for you to kind of play this role of the religious father who was against his son straying too far from his roots? As you mentioned, you're a parent yourself. So how did it feel stepping into that role?
Well, I come from a long religious back. My grandfather was the first African Archbishop of Uganda.
Wow.
We've had other family members were priests. His brother was a priest as well. And so I grew up in the church and was familiar with that. And I knew how much of a hold it has on the young minds. So this for me was a really great chance to sort of tap into some of that and sort of draw from that experience to infuse into this role.
Wow, that's powerful. As we all know, it's February, so it's Black History Month. And I see the film, the director has already won the first annual American Black Film Festival John Singleton Director Award for Best First Feature for Director of African Descent. So how does it feel to help create history as a Black creative right now in 2020? What does that mean to you?
Well, this is our time, this is our time to tell our stories. And it's not just in Black History Month, we do it all the time. And it's just that was wonderful that the John Singleton Award recognized Solomon's unique talent, because he is a force to be reckoned with. He has a clear vision. He's the most patient and understanding and willing to engage with fellow artists. Often you find artists, like directors, will be like, it's my way or the highway. But he was really a collaborative filmmaker. It was really a treat to be a part of this journey with him.
Oh, wow, that's beautiful. I love that it felt like family, like brotherhood from what I'm hearing. I also love how you're leading me to my next questions, whether you realize it or not, because I read that the director, executive producer, Benny Boom are members of Phi Alpha fraternity. And many of the cast members are also members of Greek organizations. And of course, the movie kind of talks about the process of, you know, joining a fraternity. So what was it like to be on set with all these people from that shared experience that you
Yeah.
have?
I never pledged a fraternity when I was in college, but I was aware of them, and you know, I looked. I was one of the people from the sidelines watching. Would go to the step shows, and you know, it was just an incredible ritual that happened every year. But
Yeah.
I never partook in it. But what was really wonderful about this film is that it goes to show you the power of the fraternal, the brother, you know, the fraternities
Yes.
and
Yes.
brotherhood. That's and it's a sort of lifetime membership that you have, because Solomon had written this script based on his own experience, his personal experience when he pledged. Uh,
Mm.
and there came a point where he needed help to get it off the ground. And he turned to his fraternity brother, Benny Boone. They
Yeah.
weren't in school at the same time, but they were both brothers of the same fraternity. And that speaks volumes. And Benny came and helped us get through across the finish line.
Oh, I love that. I went to HBCU, so I'm very, very familiar with how fraternities and sororities kind of always stick up for each other, and I think that's so beautiful, especially in the creative world. Um, so tell me that you're also an activist. So I wanted to know how your work as a creative, how do you balance that with also raising awareness in our communities, especially after a challenging year like 2020? How do you kind of find that balance?
I try to tie it in with the roles that I do, and luckily they've
Mm.
touched on themes and issues that we're wrestling with. For example, in this movie, it's dealing with immigration. His son and his wife have been away in the state in Nigeria for some time, and it might have been. It's not spelled out in the script, but it's possible that it was immigration issues that were keeping them apart.
Mm.
And we really need to celebrate the wealth of talent that we have with the immigrant community. And what an
Yeah.
incredible time now that we have our first highest elected woman in office is a
Yes.
first generation daughter of immigrants.
Yes.
And our first African American president is a first generation son of an immigrant. So we really need to, you know, celebrate that and embrace that, because there's too many other voices that are trying to, you know, diminish the role of immigrants. But
Yeah.
everyone in America is an immigrant, whether you're first generation or you've been here 10 generations, everyone except for the Native Americans.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. And here at Grown, of course, we strive to amplify stories of Black women. So I wanted to know how, from this role, and then of course your role as Ronnie in The Shy. I won't give away spoilers, but that storyline with Keisha was just chilling for me. So I wanted to know how have Black women inspired you personally and professionally?
Well, I'll start with my mom. My mom has been a huge inspiration for me, and I'd say next my wife as well, who
Mm.
is, you know, my better half. And our first child was my daughter. So I have like three strong women in my life who I've been, uh, who shaped me and mold me, and I try my best to live up to.
Right.
Um, and I can only imagine, you know, what we depicted in this last season of The Shy. If any of that happened to any of the women I know in my life, uh, it's devastating. So we really need to protect and honor the women in our lives. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree. So I wanted to know what advice you would give young Black creatives hoping to pursue acting, photography, directing, or any kind of creative discipline in a year like 2021. What would you say to them?
Well, this is the time you have to persevere. Sometimes when you go through hardships, it's easy to feel overwhelmed and paralyzed and, you know, helpless, and even especially now isolated because we're not interacting with people as much as, you know, in a personal level,
Right.
face to face. And so really this is a time to dig deep and look within and persevere. Uh, and usually when there's an obstacle like we've faced this last year, the obstacles are usually the greatest source of creativity because you have to find a way to navigate
Yes.
yourselves way around them. So I would say persevere against all obstacles, and you will discover gems that you never knew even existed.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I can personally attest to that during this challenging time. Definitely have found a lot in myself as a creative as well.
Mhm.
And lastly, I wanted to ask, what do you hope that your young viewers watching the movie, what do you hope that they walk away from after experiencing a story like Tasmanian Devil?
Well, one, I think they hope they appreciate the the role of brotherhood, the role that we of community and support, and what this the kid in the film discovers is that his fraternal brothers are his support system. And
Mm-hmm.
so, just going back to the thing before, if you're ever feeling so isolated, you got to find your tribe, and that's what he does. He finds his tribe, his people, and he flourishes through that. But also, he doesn't, he maintains his relationship with his dad. They try to work through these issues.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and so sometimes you want to just run away, but sometimes the biggest challenge and the biggest growth is when you face your fears and find a
Mm.
way to work through them. And that's what's so beautiful about this film, because it's a father-son struggle. Both of them work through their fears. And in the end, I think they have a greater understanding and respect for each other and of themselves.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, wow. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to see the film. I really, really appreciate you coming and just sharing some insight behind everything. I want to let everyone know that Tasmanian Devil comes out on Friday, November 9th on Amazon On Demand, and we will all be tuning in. So, yes, thank you again so much for giving us your time today.
No, my pleasure. Yes, February 9th, which I think is not Friday. I think it's Tuesday next week, right?
Yeah, I think so. I'm losing track of days, to be quite
Yeah.
honest.
It's
Thank you.
next Tuesday, February 9th.
Yes.
Amazon, Amazon On Demand. If you type in my name and Ntare Guma Mbaho Mwine or Tasmanian Devil, you'll see it. And let me know what you think. You can drop me a note on any of my socials and let me know what you thought.
Yes.